African Media. My name is Rosie. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are imparting lives and all that good stuff. So thank you for joining us. Before we get there, just to let you know that we're really sorry that we haven't been uploading for a while, but we're back now. This summer was busy with so much, but here we are with beautiful stories again. Welcome to our show, Bukola.
Thank you so much, Rosie. I'm happy to be here.
If you could just introduce yourself to our people, tell them who you are, where you are from originally, you're married, you have a family, and how you found yourself here.
All right, this is exciting. I'm so happy to be at African Media today. I will not forget this day. It's
great.
Happy Friday. So my name is Bukola Ojemakinde. I am originally from Nigeria. I moved to Canada in 2006 after I had a master's degree in the US for 2 years. I came here to join my family, my husband and his own mom and brothers. So the long story was my husband was born here, but he grew up in Nigeria, which is how we met in university. And then he relocated back to Canada. And so we were married in Nigeria. And you know how it works. When you're married, you get all this PR based on marriage. And then I relocated. And then fortunately, we got a job in the US. We moved back to the US. And so I have 2 kids, Danielle and David.
They were born in the US?
They were born in the US while my husband was there working. That was in 2008 and 2009. So if you calculate it, they are going to be 16 and 15.
Oh, wow.
The irony is that they are just a year and a month apart. Danielle was born in November, just a day before Barack Obama became the president, November 3rd, 2008, and David is born December 31st, 2009, all by C-section, if you need to know that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And you said they were both born in the US.
They are both born in the US. Danielle is a girl, David is a boy.
So was that your plan, to name them DD?
Yeah, which shouldn't, it doesn't work out because I'm a B, but so I'm the odd one out. My husband is actually David as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So when did you now move to Canada from the US?
So we moved back from the US to Canada in late 2010, when that recession hit in 2009, 2010. We moved back. Yeah.
So you schooled in the US, right?
I did my master's in the US, but my undergraduate in Nigeria.
Oh, okay. So you said you're an engineer?
I'm an engineer.
What field?
So I started with industrial engineering, and then I went back to school to do chemical engineering. So I have both bachelor's in chemical and industrial and engineering, and a master's in industrial engineering.
Oh, sweet. And then you're gonna go back for your PhD, or?
How did you know that? I just talked to someone in the car about that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow, good
I'm
for
actually
you.
thinking of going to school at the same time as my daughter.
Oh,
so that we can
wow.
share a house, wherever that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good.
Awesome. You're in the
Wow.
spirit. That's a confirmation. I don't even need to do anything else.
That's good.
Awesome.
Okay, great. So then now you move here, you start working.
Yeah.
Like, how did that move? Was it swift? Was it hard? When you moved
It
here?
was hard because my kids were, like you can see, they were just like 2 and 3 year olds. Back to back, it was really tough coming back here. But as I mentioned, my mother-in-law has been here since my husband was born. So it was easy for us to adapt. She knew, of course, shopping was not as bad. She helped with school and daycare.
So are you just talking Calgary, or?
We've been in Calgary all
The
this
whole
while.
time?
The whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, my mother-in-law didn't start in Calgary, but she's been in Calgary for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, and after my other degree, after the the kids are grown, I started working at Suncor Energy, and then I moved into community service because it got ignited actually while I was at Suncor. I'll tell you the story when you asked about the community work.
Okay, so now let's move into community work.
All right.
We're there.
All right. So you know that coming from Africa, we help without formal structures.
Right.
You just see someone in need, a beggar on the street. There's nothing like food banks or all these, or mustard seed or in from the cold. All people go to churches, right? It's all informal. So coming here, I didn't really get grafted into volunteering until I became a co-op student at Suncor, and there was one of my managers, actually my manager's manager, who will organize employees to Race to Conquer Cancer. So that was a program run by Embridge, and it's called Embridge Race to Conquer Cancer. And so they will raise money. All the bike riders will raise about 2,000. Then I think it went up to 2,005.
Okay.
Through either colleagues of theirs, family and friends. They will practice on their bikes for months because they usually do 100K rides. Sometimes they start from Calgary and ride all the way to Okotoks, sleep there in camps, ride back. All of that, they don't do fundraising during the ride. If all the fundraising is already done prior to the ride.
Okay.
And so when I joined as an intern, I don't know how to ride a bike, to be honest with you. But I was captivated because of the adrenaline and the campaign around it.
Yeah.
So I decided to raise money on my own. You could also raise money if you are not a rider.
Okay.
So I decided to raise 2005. And just talking to fellow Nigerians, people I've worked with, my bosses, I was even actually able to raise maybe 2.7. And so I was motivated. On the day of the ride, I took my family. We were cheering them on. I volunteered as well. So I didn't realize what that was doing to me. It was transforming me, well, honestly, gradually. So I did that about 3 years. I will raise money.
Every year you do it?
I will do it. I will raise money. I will go to their thing. We even did it in 2019, if you remember. They usually do it around July. That was when we had that big smoke that came all the way from BC, and people were riding and some were collapsing. We had to cancel that particular ride. That day we were going from Calgary to Olds, the other way towards Edmonton, and there were some back ways, if you don't know it, through all the Rockies that all these riders take. And we were cheering, and we ended up having to help people with their bikes because they were choking, they were suffocating because apparently where you have denser trees, the smoke, they stay together. So as we get into the woods, it was tenser there than what we see in the city. So anyway, that ride was canceled, but that was the last ride I did because after that I went to work in Fort McMurray. But anyway, that is what galvanized me, ignited me. The fire started burning, and I'm like, wow, there's nothing like this. Apart from the fact that I have had experiences as a young mom, as a student, as a wife, trying to navigate Calgary at that time. Even though I had my mother-in-law, it was still very tough.
Yeah.
Even though we were going to the church that she has always known, it was still tough. I don't know, by that time the only supermarket that I know that is mostly African was The Chosen, and they had one branch in the Northeast. And that's where
It's still there, right?
it is still there,
Yeah.
and that's where we'll go. But imagine now how many, I think she has 3 now, The Chosen African store.
She has one in the Northwest.
She has in the Northwest, she has in McLeod Trail as well. I think she even has in Ayedri. But much more than that, there are so many people. You can cargo food now, people selling out of their homes, cooked food is a lot. But it's not even about the food, it's the fact that you didn't have that sense of belonging, and you didn't have that sense of Calgary feeling like home. Like you see how we came here this morning, chatting, exchanging pleasantries. There was not much like that. Or if there were, you didn't know how to get it. And so, like young moms suffering from, let's say, depression, postpartum depression, or just isolation, it was really difficult to find support groups. So that made me create Ladies in the Family Foundation. We started informally in 2017 with a mother-daughter hangout in a library. And I saw how the daughters were just talking about their moms, what they like best. The things they remember, believe it or not, the things kids remember about their moms is not even all the things. Some of them were talking about, I remember, Mommy, the day you took us on a stroll and we walked and we talked, or the day we went to the movies. It was all about the quality time. And the moms will laugh because they can't even remember those times. And it was fun. We had such a nice time in that library, and it just began to grow slowly but surely. And now we registered it in 2020, Ladies in the Family Foundation. Basically, what we're trying to do with that organization is to see how we can accelerate the rate at which people begin to feel like Canada is their home now. You know, most people...
So you're talking about immigrants in general?
I'm talking about immigrant women and girls. Yeah, yeah, in general. So, but we have a focus on Black though. So basically, At
So,
what
so like Africans, African Caribbean.
Afro-Caribbeans,
Okay.
correct, Black Canadians. Even I just heard today, I was talking to somebody called Jeff Nelson, and he said they call them missionary kids or third world culture. Those are kids whose parents are missionaries and they are born in Nigeria, Tanzania, Uganda. That's their country. That's what they grew up to know.
So then they become missionary kids?
No, that's the term they call them on Facebook. On Facebook. So they have a group. So it's the way we call ourselves immigrants in Canada. They are immigrants to those other countries.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
makes
that's
sense.
where they feel their sense of belonging, even though they may be white or European.
Yeah.
But that's where they actually grew up.
Yeah.
So can we imagine even those group of people
Yeah.
sometimes are looking for that connection with African countries.
Yeah.
That's why I said including Black Canadians. Anyway, so
Okay.
let me go back to my train of thought. So yeah, Ladies in the Family Foundation has been trying to see if it took me 10 years to properly say I now understand what Calgary Food Bank does, what Drop-In Center does, what Kirby Center does. I now know where to go. I now know my way. CMHA, this and that. I know where food is. Then how can we make that shorter and shorter and shorter? Of course, it's not going to be our own organization that does that. We've been very good with WhatsApp groups. They've been amazing in trying to provide people with resources. But if you look at it, they are only providing resources within, among us, not outside of us. And it's unfortunate because outside of us, our taxpayer money contributes to that, which we should be using.
Right.
Libraries,
Yeah.
our taxpayer funds contribute to that. But how many of us are maximizing libraries? We would rather buy books on Amazon than go borrow. So we are losing
Yeah.
in that way. And there are so many other resources. When new immigrants come, there's Women in Need Society, for instance, where they could give you some furniture depending on your income. And when you first come, you don't even have much income anyways.
Yeah.
But sometimes pride and sometimes not knowing may make people lose out. So we are here to first of all show those services to people, but to also say, how can we support ourselves? Remember my story about not having that sense of belonging, not having that support group when I first came in. So trying to create those pockets of support groups for women and girls. And remember, when you help a woman, you help the whole family.
That's true.
And part of why I'm here today is to see how can Black start supporting Black more. I like what you guys are doing already. But like you're saying, a lot of us drive bikes, a lot of us do so many things, bake, like all these caterers saying they bake from their home. Just call it a day, bake for the poor day or whatever you want to call it. Or bake, not even the poor, bake for Students' Day. So they can have things to take to school for a week.
So what do you think are the challenges that are like harboring Africans from coming together? Like what's the biggest challenge?
There are so many challenges. I have a feeling that here people want to have their own community first, their own little clique first. And so once they have that is when they want to spread out. And once that clique is not solidified yet, they don't have that sense of acceptance, not even belonging, acceptance. So if you look at Nigeria now, Nigeria and Ghana, even Nigeria, and I'm not saying this to ridicule anybody, right? Nigeria and Ghana were the first group to start community associations here over 40 years ago. But if you look at what Nigeria has done extra, is they now have 8 groups. People say it's not good, but I actually think it's a good thing.
Really?
Let me tell you why. So they have South-South, they have Yoruba, they have Igbo, they have Anambra. Anambra is just a state, it's not even a group. They have Anambra by itself. They have Middle Belt. We have the whole of Nigeria itself. And then there is one more that I'm missing. Akwa Ibom. I think there is Akwa Ibom group, which is also a state. So all of these people do gala every year. All of them.
Individually.
Individually. And then Nigeria does this big one coming up next week.
And do they all come together?
We try. The executives of each of them come to the event. They will make them buy a table. It causes, I wouldn't say competition, it causes improvements within that global Nigerian community. So our galas every year from year to year is getting better. And most of the time, politicians, donors, ambassadors are coming to some of the sub ones and then the big one.
But
So it's driving increase. And then when people feel like I have my own sense of acceptance with my Igbo people, with my Yoruba people, it makes it easy for them to feel that sense of belonging to the Nigerian group. Yeah.
But don't you think it also divides?
It doesn't divide when it comes to the global. It might divide within the region, but it doesn't divide when it comes to the global Nigerian Association. No,
But if we're already divided, say like
because we don't share money. Money doesn't go. Like Nigerian Association doesn't give Yoruba people money. We source our own funds from our Yoruba people.
okay,
And they will
like
still
for the gala and everything.
for the gala, for programs, like we have elders nights, we do youth programming. It's all sourced. We do casino fundraising.
Yeah.
Some of us have casino fundraising, like Yoruba just got theirs, Nigeria has theirs. So everybody sources their own funds. So it's not like we are competing for anything.
Is that
And the
membership fee though?
There is membership for each one. And the Nigerian house is the one that houses some of us to do our meetings. So, and we pay rent. It's not like free. So we pay rent each time those subgroups go there to use it. Anyway, so I think when you ask what is the challenge, I think until a lot of these groups are able to feel like their feet is on the ground, it's like families, right? Your own family has to be strong and well built. So your own culture has to be sound and well built. Then you start saying, okay, how do I support this other culture? Even though we may have wars that have gone on back home, but how do we begin to mend that? But if your own community itself is not, I'll give you an example of a country, I wouldn't mention them on here, but I visited and they said right now they have two different associations and people don't know which represents their country. So you can see already, even if people want to even help them, where do you go?
Right.
And at some point, some will say, oh, they left us out because we never heard of it. We are the real people.
So this is why I'm not really pro different like subgroups. If we're all Nigerian, we're all Nigerian. If we're all Ghanaian, we're all Ghanaian. Like, why do we have to concentrate on the differences? We should celebrate the differences regardless, because we're different anyways. But that shouldn't be the main focus.
The reason why we should celebrate the differences is that sometimes it's deeper than what you just said. Like I'll show you, Nigeria, some of these issues are contributed by politics way since independence, which it doesn't matter what I try to do, it won't even resolve any of that. So, and then when you have the Igbo people who are able to celebrate their land, I don't understand Igbo, I don't understand their culture, but they have a very rich culture. Yoruba people have their rich culture. The northern people have their own, and then not to talk of all the sub. There's no way Nigeria by itself alone, through one program or through one event, can represent all the things that matter to us. Language, some of them now have language schools, right? The same way you see Chinese have Mandarin and Cantonese or whatever those languages are. They are still different, but they have a universal. I wish if all of us are using Pidgin English, then I will be okay with that. I will be okay with that because then everybody's on the same plane level.
And we can push for that?
Let's push for it. Shake my hands. Let's do it.
Because I'm not Nigerian,
No, Pidgin English is spoken across many countries in Africa. I'm not even thinking Nigeria alone. I'm thinking a lot of African countries can come
because
together.
I'm thinking like, if we're going to come and meet here, you have your story of how you came here. I have my story. Somebody else has their story. We're not from the same tribe. Maybe we are from the same country. But when we get here, why don't we share our differences? Let's share the stories, embrace each other, kiss on each other, love on each other, and then work together as one. Instead of, okay, I'm just going to maintain this and wait till I meet my own people and celebrate with them. Like, to me, I feel like we, as Africans in general, we really concentrate on that which is the core of who you are, and then we forget the bigger picture, which is the togetherness, really. Like,
the togetherness is nice, but I believe in clusters forming I personally believe in clusters that are solid on the ground coming together to form a whole. So like having cuddles of milk in a cup. It's still cuddles, but it's all in that cup all the time. So I strongly believe in that because, as I said, it's very tough to understand the roots and experiences of people better than the people themselves. It's really tough.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I don't dispute that because I know that people feel better when they're with their own, right? But when we meet together as one, why can't we like shed all that and just embrace that togetherness, and then when we go we'll still disassemble and go our different ways, and then we'll go back to our groups. But like we should make that big group the main thing, right? Because if you're talking, say for example, tourism in Nigeria, are you gonna tell me come to Yoruba State alone? Like no, I would rather you tell me visit Nigeria, go experience the whole of Nigeria.
I agree with you. I'm just saying it's difficult. I definitely, like, Alex has been to one of our events when the mayor came, and the diversity in the room is phenomenal. If you can, I have a lot of those pictures on our website. You see women from different cultures come to that, and that's what most of our programs are like. But as I said, people still want to feel like, I think it just gives them that sense of comfort. I can be myself. I can roll on the floor. I can laugh any way I want. Remember, like, let me even talk about people we serve. Some people in their countries, elders, being an elder starts at 50. Some, if you say that you are an elder at 50, is like an insult. Like, how dare you say, I'm still young? You know? So how do you now bring those two together? You see, so even little nuances like that. And in the Yoruba land, we kneel down to greet people. We never call people by their names. In Igbo, they call people by their names. Uncles is their name, and they don't kneel. So how do you then say respect is not a thing for all of us? It's not going to work. So those are the kind of things I'm talking about. And it's not that Igbos are not respectful. They are still respectful. They wouldn't slap their parents, for instance. They are still, but respect is not only in the greeting. In Yoruba land, respect starts from the greeting, from the way you gesticulate and all that. So all of those differences, I don't think we can erase that. And that's why when a Yoruba person marries a Yoruba person and that culture remains, or they interact together, they feel that sense of, I'm with my clan. We do things the same way, and we can't take that away from anybody. But like you're saying, when it's a common cause around how do we support community, we are not even talking about blacks alone. How do we support Calgarians? How do we support Canadians? How do you, as a Kenyan, support Ukrainians? You are not from Ukraine. At that point, we forget that we are black or yellow. We are people. We are beings.
That's the point I want us to get to. Like,
yes.
How do we get to the point where we're just, you know, like how we're here in Canada, they don't see you as Nigerian, me Kenyan, they just see you as a black woman, right?
Exactly.
So why can't we as black people get to that point where we just, now that we're out of our countries, we're here, we're black, period. I don't know how many times people refer to me as Jamaican. I've never been to Jamaica, but people refer to me as Jamaican. Like, but I don't mind it because if I look like them, they look like me, and that's cool, which is how people see us here. So why is it that for us, when we come here, we don't like to embrace that, you know? Like, even when we meet, we like to ask each other, where are you from?
Yeah.
You know, like that's usually the first question. Where are you from? Like, it's like...
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And honestly, you're speaking to part of the mission of Ladies in the Family Foundation. What we've tried to do is to start with what connects us together. The food, the culture, the fashion. I'm talking women now. The beauty, right? And when we have that, that brings us together. And our common problems. Yeah. All of us women parents.
Right.
We have marriages, most of us, or we are aspiring to marry, right? And so those are things that bring all women together, irrespective of culture. And that's where Ladies in the Family's programming is always around. Like right now, we do cooking classes. We try to do cooking classes across many countries. We would do South Africa, we do West Africa, East, for young girls. 12 to 24. When we do mental health support, it's for all any black woman
Right.
to come.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to be Nigerian.
Yeah.
Of course, sometimes the staff that we get sometimes can be more Nigerian
Yeah.
because maybe we are more or they are more ambitious.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that, like right now I'm telling you, I need a social worker, so good social worker. So if you know one, I'm looking for a non-Nigerian actually, specifically.
Oh, well, the
So
one that came to mind is Nigerian.
Oh, you see what I mean? So most of the time when we put things out, even when we put our programs out, Nigerians jump on it faster. And if you are not careful, it begins to erode the mission of our organization. Because we say we want to serve black. But when others are feeling like, I want to be part of my clan, I don't see Nigerians, then we are back to, they have to tear off that nationality and say, this is for black, it's free. In fact, as long as I hear it's free, boom, why not my kids? Why not my... And then another thing I found that we need to work on, when we black people see something, if it doesn't apply to us, we don't share. Oh, my kids, I get comments all the time when I send things to personal people. When they look, oh, my kid is already 30 years old. But you have friends who have kids 12 to 24. Have you forwarded to one of them? No? Oh, okay, then I would think, but they will not. That's another thing other cultures don't do. Other cultures don't do that.
Don't be stingy with information, Africans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because information is power, they say, right? So it's good to empower each other when we inform each other.
And you have to use it.
Yeah.
Don't just get involved. Sometimes people get discouraged too. Like, I shared to 10 people, none of them even thanked me to say, oh, thank you for sharing. Or they will register their kids and they never look back to say, oh, that was a wonderful program. Thank you for letting me know about it. So then next time people will be like, I don't care. They will find out somehow. So it's part of that. I think, like you were saying from the beginning, that collective impact, that collective consumption, is not even impact alone. It's give and take that we need to have in our community right now. We are lacking it. Education cannot even fix it because we have the most educated people in this place. And yet we are struggling with that part. It's the same way black people don't jump into politics. I don't, like, it's not like they don't know law or there are no lawyers or there are no doctors or people who can do it. It's just a field that people don't feel black people are safe in. So it's the same with when it comes to communal gathering. The only successful communal gatherings are mosques and churches. So maybe we could go through that. Actually, I was talking to an MLA the other day, and he told me their Sikh temples serve as a hub for a lot of their community work. So when it comes to food sharing, it comes through their temple.
They're big at that.
They are big at that.
Yeah.
So churches these days, can there be, people are already going to these churches. Can there be an evening, come and get free hampers? Or right after church, they already know people with low income. A basket is ready, grab it and go. Or they don't even want them to grab it. They follow them and put it in their car because they don't want them that shame of, oh, somebody will know I'm collecting food, right? So I think those already, and we have many black church, like churches where black people go, whether it's black led or black or white led, and mosque. They are getting there though, because I saw the other day some mosques are doing this trade fair or is a NMSCC or whatever they call themselves. They do like a trade and business fair, and it's to showcase Muslim entrepreneurs. They are getting there, so we need to increase it. And if you look at it, that was how it started, even back in Africa, with missionaries coming through the churches to do community work. And that's how schools came to be, all these Catholic schools, mosque. I even attended a Saruddin school when I was younger. It didn't matter whether you were a Christian. It didn't matter. Muslims would go to Catholic church schools. Christians would go to Muslim-led schools. It didn't matter then. Until we get to that point again, I don't know.
With your organization, so where are we now? Like, how can we help if Calgarians need to come out and help you out?
We'll get to donation, but let's even forget about that. It's more about volunteering their skills. If you're a doctor, can you even just spend 1 hour with us to educate on diabetes or ADHD. Like I talked before, there are things that are common that we all go through. Parenting is one of them. My kids are stuck on their phones. What do I do? It's a common problem now. We don't need to be Kenyan or Nigerian to come to that.
Yeah.
And when my advice to is, like you said, information sharing. When people see that and they know they need it, come.
Yeah.
There is no shame in attending. We won't even ask you publicly if your child has ADHD or if your mom is diabetic or if you have stroke or if you have. Just come. You never know when you will need such information.
Right.
I don't pray, but who knows if your own grandchild down the road will have ADHD, then you can use some of those concepts.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to maximize skills. Pastors doing social media work is giving their skill back to community. You know, there's so many ways in which we all can give back. And I'm praying and I'm hoping that everything is not always money. Oh, they're asking for money again. You have something you can always give. And that's what I hope people will take on.
We know that you have a different organization. I think it's dealing with the elderly, right?
Yes.
So if you could shed a little bit of light on that as well.
Correct. So Ladies in the Family Foundation, as I said, supports girls and women, mostly black, with a focus on black girls and women. But we have Bridge to Oasis Foundation, BTO Foundation for short, that was also founded in 2020 to cater to black seniors. Why? Because we know here, for the most part, the caregivers of those seniors will be busy working. And then who takes care of them when they are gone to work, when they are traveled, and these seniors are left at home. It's not like back home where you have cousins, nieces coming in and out, neighbors who you don't know checking on you, church members. Church members here want to check on you, but transportation and their own work and all these other things about safe spaces, respect. Don't make everywhere psychologically safe. Sometimes I can't just walk into a senior's home if she doesn't know me. If she falls, I'm afraid they could say I probably caused the fall. So because of the laws here, people are more careful. And so an organization like ours was set up to be a central corridor to try and get information, resources, including money, to support our seniors. Unfortunately, in Canada, we don't give anybody money from the nonprofit. You are not even allowed to give gift cards like that. It's limited, maybe $25 honorarium are maxed at 200. So it's more like services. Where can we point you to file your taxes for free, to get food, to get health care, to have home care, to have cleaning, and all of these are income based. But there are some things that we do that are open for all, like our events around isolation reduction, mental health education. We do that a lot on Zoom. Physical health education, we do that on Zoom. We gather the seniors together a lot to just have all sort of celebration. We just finished our Alberta Culture Days. It was 2 days. And we had many seniors attend. We do Thanksgiving, Black History Month, just things to get them out of their homes. But their major struggle, honestly, right now is transportation. And so we are looking at what we can do. The Chinese group right now, they'll get a bus, and volunteers from their community will be drivers for certain days. Drive seniors to their appointments, stay with them, bring them back, grocery shopping, all of that stuff. Help them put it in the fridge or shelves and all that. We black people need to get there. And like I said, at the rate at which we are contributing to community, because even we that are talking, it takes, I'm 50 years old next year, it takes 15 years for me to be a senior. And the rest of us, it goes fast like this, the same way our kids grew up. And if we are not doing it now for others, who is going to do it for us? So that's what we need to keep in mind.
But what are the challenges that you're facing, with all this work, your career, your parenting, if you could talk about that?
I can actually talk about that for the whole day. So some of the challenges is that I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'll say it as nice as I could. My black family, and I say my, it's almost causing me to almost want to tear up. As soon as we step out of our regular workplaces, we feel like I'm no longer required to be ethical and have integrity and be honest and be transparent. We feel like everything else that doesn't give me money for my feeding or my life skills can be treated with less dignity. And so they may show up late. They may not work when they say they are working. They may, just the things that you already are aware of. That hurts. It hurts because I feel like we should be the same person irrespective of what we are doing.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not painting a broad brush across, but the same way we treat our paid work should be how we treat volunteer work. This should be the same way. The same way we are at church serving unpaid, or in the community or association unpaid, mostly unpaid, is the same way we should be at work where we are paid.
Yeah.
If you cannot take on something, don't take it, and then don't do it.
Yeah.
You see, when you keep saying, I will do it, just for people to say, oh, and then you get home, we are chasing you, where's that document, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you know this land, they wait on things to get things. Like right now, I've been waiting for a report for 3 weeks. I needed that report to put in a grant that has closed. It's not like, I'm not gonna go beg the funder and say, without this report, please, I'll give you later. It doesn't work that way. They look at checklists.
Yeah.
So don't take on something that you know you can't do.
Yeah.
So that's one challenge.
It's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful, it's dishonest.
Yeah.
Because we could find other people that could do better.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that people say delegate. Maybe it's linked to what I first said. People will say delegate. You are not delegating, you are doing all the work. But like I said, when you delegate, it's rare. Out of 10, maybe you get 2 people who actually carry the work like it's theirs. They always feel like, I need to go and still start my own thing. This is not mine. It's never mine until it has their name on it. So back to what you said at the very beginning, how do we get to that unity of purpose? We may not be unified in our roots or culture or food or language, but unity of purpose. We are coming together to do good. And it doesn't matter who you are serving, we are serving human beings.
Right.
At that time when it's community service, you don't care who it is, you're just doing.
We're all leveled.
Yeah, we are all leveled.
Yeah.
So honestly, those will be the key challenges. As soon as everybody can see that we own this together, it belongs to all of us, every other challenge will go away. Whether it's money or it's volunteers or it's speaking or it's skill or people coming to events and inviting their friends, all of that will go away once we solve that problem.
So pick up something that you know you can commit to.
First of all, pick up something, and then pick up something you know you can commit to.
Yeah.
Never, ever be idle. Pick up something. There is always time to pick up something.
Okay.
If you enjoy soccer, be a coach. Don't just go play. How do I coach? If you enjoy cooking, cook for the homeless, don't just say, all my cooking has to be for profit. Right now, Walmart, I'm not lying, Google, Microsoft, Samsung, they all have some Suncor, they all have some sort of giving associated to them. All of them.
Yeah.
Are they crazy? Tim Hortons has a camp. My daughter just went there and came back. Are they crazy? No. Common good given purposefully to community and to people is part of what makes an organization great.
Yeah.
And so our black people need now to change from all I want to do is sell. Sell 70, 80%, give 10%, then pay your tithes. It's good enough.
Give and it shall come back to you. Scripture says, right? Good measure, shaken together,
Running over.
Yeah. So we would love just for people to come out and be honest and give, not just monetary like you said, but like in action, in in whatever ways you can, like career wise and all that. So in terms of even for yourself, like just even with family life and like the challenges that you're going through, you didn't really talk about family. You talked about the emotional part a little bit. But what about your family? Like, are you facing any challenges?
Not really. I'm thankful because when I started this work, my kids are already a bit grown. So if you calculate 2008 to 2020, when we actually formally launched, so my daughter was like 12 and my son 11, and my husband has been very supportive as well. If I could talk about what it's doing in the family, is that sense of they are beginning to see that they need to choose a career that also gives. So my daughter was initially, she's in grade 11. She was initially confused as to what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. Now she's saying, I know everybody wants to be a doctor, but we didn't force that on her. Now she's saying, I may want to be a doctor so that I could travel the world to help people. Now what I've done, she's already trying to see, how do I fit into my career? I don't want to be like my mom, but how can I take what she's taught me and put it into who I want to be? And I'll call them to volunteer and they will watch. Sometimes they don't participate because they are mad at me for dragging them out, but they watch and they see. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Even as we are doing this, we need to get our kids involved. They may not want to come, it might be tough, but 2 hours, 3 hours of our entire life is nothing. Let's even say every week is too much, but 2 hours dragging our family along with us. I used to drag them to all those Race to Conquer Cancer to cheer people up. Another thing I wanted to say is what it has done for me as a person. I always talk about the joy currency. I've received 3 awards. I received the Queen Elizabeth Jubilee Award for my work. I received $20,000 towards a non-profit of my choice from Suncor. I received one called the Bayana Award. I think they gave me $1,000. And I'm even being nominated for Immigrant of Distinction Award for November 7, along with 2 others in community service.
Good for you.
But it's not about and most of these awards I don't apply. They just say, we noticed you're doing this work, and some people will apply for me, or they will just call me up. But more importantly is that in this land, organizations, people of influence are scouting. You know, the same way basketball leagues and the scouts for who are we going to add more. They are scouting for who are the Calgarians that we can trust, that we can. It takes them time. The Canadians, the white people, I would say, sorry, in quotes, they like trust. Once they trust you, honestly, you've won their hearts. In sometimes back home, ours is money or power, but theirs is trust. And sometimes when they get your trust, when they can trust you, they are ready to help you. They are ready to connect you. Most of what I do, people say, how do you get things done? Is because of trust. I can plan a program tomorrow. I will have 5 speakers already. I'll be able to get my hall. I'll be able to get everything I need. I will still have to pay some money. But people are always wondering, how come the mayor was able to come to your event twice? How come? It's not because I went there to lobby. It's because of trust. And they look. They look on your social media. They look everywhere. So when our kids ourselves are looking for work or business, it's by doing the things we do. I want to give another example. I love this guy. He doesn't even know I love him this much. Osuji and Smith lawyers, very well-known group of lawyers in this city. And he also gives to community. What does he do? It takes as many interns. You know, when people finish law, they have to go do 1 year of articling. Without it, you can't practice. It takes as many interns as possible. Doesn't matter the color, so that they can article in his firm. He has a program called Foot in the Door. And that's his own community service. And he does other community service work. So all of us have to find a way, and now he's well known Go Google him in Calgary. Now he's well known in this community. Don't let us not think that it's like home where you put a shop and your growth is labeled by how much you sell or how much you don't sell. No, in this place, it is more than that. From Bill Gates to Elon Musk, they are all givers. Facebook, whether they do it for the right purpose, Oprah is another thing. But they are all givers. And we have to emulate that. So, to round this up, in summary, community service brings joy, first of all, fulfillment. If that's what you are called, it's not everybody called to do it to this extent to which I do it. But if you ever participate, it gives you joy. It can open doors for you. It has opened doors for me, for sure. In terms of people I now talk with, the rooms I'm in, it has done so. And then it has helped my family. It has helped them to see purpose, clarity of purpose, and what they should be living for. Now my son, if I say, we need to move out of this house, he will say, why? This is good enough. Because they no longer look, our focus is not
On things.
on materials, is on how do we impact people's lives.
Wow. So in just closing, if you could probably give an example, anything that comes to mind, of some women or girls that you've imparted, and then just look in the camera and impart a life, and just let people know how it's working for you, and then how they can also find you.
All right, thank you so very much. Let me start with the seniors that I serve. Every day they pray for me. Every day they see me. We still had an event yesterday. They are always praying. Some of them in tears. Some of them we say is when they come to our program that they feel they are in heaven. Because otherwise they are in the house from 8 a.m. when the kids go to school to 5 p.m. And then when the kids come back, it's grandma, leave me alone. You are too strict. They run to their rooms. So it's like they are isolated. So because of that, they feel a sense of somebody loves and cares for me in my old age. Apart from that, so those are the seniors that I serve. We had a 7 weeks camp this summer where girls came to know and learn different things. And from the testimonials of these kids, we know that their careers, their own life, once they are mostly high school kids, once they get to university, is already shaped by these 7 weeks. They learned fashion designing, they learned music, they learned STEM, they went to community service, they learned about mental health, they learned about domestic abuse, they learned about sexuality and how to say no to certain things. These are things that we groom about 40 participants of girls for the rest of their lives. It's the first time I've done such a camp. It was tiring, but I was happy that I got it done. So with that, I would like us to visit our website, ladiesinthefamily.com, bridge2oasis.com, .ca, and our number to reach us is 403-561-0765. Thank you so much, Afrocan Media, for having me today. I look forward to what you all are going to do in this Calgary and beyond, and may God bless your work. Thank you so very much, Rosie. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you also for agreeing to come and be interviewed with us, and we really appreciate what you do in our community.
Thank you so much.
God bless you as well.
God bless you. Thank you.
For joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.